Hello, my quilting friends. My name is Leah Day, and in this video, I want to teach you how to attach feet to your Qnique 21 or 19. So these feet are just a little bit more complicated than the feet for our Qnique 15 long arms. For one thing, they have a much longer shaft and they have a collar. So the collar will already be installed whenever you buy your machine, and you'll already have a standard quilting foot. But if you ever want to switch to either our hopping feet, which includes a ruler foot in that kit, or our awesome 9-piece foot attachment set, this is a foot that connects to different bases. So here I just need to connect this main foot to my long arm, and then I can switch out lots of different bases on this bottom, like this couching base that allows me to couch yarns and stuff on my quilts. So really, really fun, lots of different possibilities. But whenever you get one of these extra foot sets, it's going to come with a new collar. So it's up to you. You might want to play with it and see which collar fits best. But I am going to continue using this collar. So I want to get this attached to my machine. As you can see here, I have taken off the original collar. I've also taken out my needle screw and my needle. That way I can access this area easily. All right, so there's two different ways that you can install this. You can install this so that your feet attach to the back here. That's going to result in that bar of the foot coming down the back of your long arm. You can also rotate this. It's kind of a cool feature. And you can put that bar coming down to the left side of your long arm. So here I am standing at the front of the long arm, and you can see that bar would be to the left side. Personally, just because most sewing machines have, the back of the foot to the back, that's just what I usually do. I usually attach it this way. Pretty much have never attached it the other way because I'm so used to the back of the foot being here, kind of towards the back of the machine. All right, so first thing that we need to do is we need to get the locking collar in place and tighten that up, and then we'll attach our foot and get it into the right position, because obviously this is a couching foot. I want my needle to end up in the exact center of that foot. And I'll be honest, there's a little bit of play here. There's a little bit of wiggle room for how this foot attaches. So the first thing I want to do is make sure my locking collar is in the correct spot, but I can't do that unless the foot is slightly attached. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and insert that screw in the back, and I'm just going to go on ahead and attach that and get it finger tight. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to grab my hopping foot gauge. This will come with your machine. You'll also get another one whenever you buy any foot attachment set. And so this I'm going to slide over that needle plate, and I'm going to line up. There's kind of a groove in this plate. I'm going to line that up with the hole in my needle plate. Then I'm going to bring down the foot so that the foot is resting on this hopping foot gauge. So the gauge is giving me a little bit of distance, and my ruler base is actually throwing this off ever so slightly because, of course, the ruler base is adding a lip around this. So just watch out for that. And that looks pretty good to me. I like that. Now, the other thing that's important to understand is that this height of your foot actually changes depending on the height of your needle, where your needle is located. So when your needle is up, the foot is actually in a raised position. When your needle is down, the foot is in a lowered position. We don't have, like a lever or something to do that. It's all dependent upon the needle. And of course, yes, the foot hops as you stitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to needle down. Because I don't have a needle in this long arm, it's safe for me to needle down, and that puts this whole bar in the lowest position. Now, if I had a needle in this, I would want to make sure that that's exactly right, and my needle's not going to crash against the base of this foot. So there's a couple different reasons that's pretty good to go on ahead and remove the needle out of the machine before you start messing around with this. All right, so this looks good. Basically, I've got the foot attached here to the collar, and I'm pulling on that collar to bring it down against that hopping foot height gauge into the lowest position it can go. And this is pretty much it, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to take my hex wrench and I'm going to tighten up that collar so that the collar is now going to be super tight. It's not going to slip down. It's going to be in its final position now because I know that that height is right according to this height gauge. It does look very, very low on the long arm. I know that that might, you might think that it needs to be a little higher up, but whenever you lift your foot, whenever you hit your needle up button, you can see how much that lifts the foot up off that needle base. And this is just a general thing that I have found over the years, that when free motion quilting on any machine, you generally want your foot lower than you think. It's one of those funny things. And a lot of skip stitches issues, a lot of thread break issues happen because the foot is too high. Alrighty, so now this is right. I've got my collar done. Let me make sure that that's nice and tight, not gonna go anywhere. I'm pretty sure that I got that. Yeah, I got that mega tight already. Obviously, you don't want to strip out these screws, but you want to get them so that they're tight enough. They're not going to go anywhere. All right, now the big thing is to make sure that our foot is in the right position. You see that play that I've got there? I want to make sure that the base of this foot is lined up perfectly with my needle so that when my needle comes down, it's going to go straight into the center of that foot. The feet that are most especially important to get this right are, many of the feet, the bases that we have with our 9-piece foot attachment set. So couching feet, anything that has a small hole in the center, very important. Also, ruler foot. It is really important to get your needle in the center of a ruler foot so you get the math so that, it's a 1/2 inch wide foot. You get your needle in the center, you got a 1/4 inch to both sides of the needle. That's the simple math for ruler quilting. So it's very important that you end up with your needle in the middle, okay? All right, so with this wiggle room that's here, which is a little, it's a little scary. I don't want to hit my needle down button because what if my foot was ever so slightly, back or forward and it crashed against, the inner plastic of this little tiny hole that I've got for my couching foot. For that reason, I'm going to walk all the way around my long arm and actually rotate the hand wheel. Not a big deal. It takes you a few seconds and it just ensures that the needle's going to come down and it's not going to have any issues. So I'm standing here at the back of the machine and I'm watching this, making sure that as I bring that needle down, the foot it's not going to come in contact with that foot. There we go. So the needle's down and now I can wiggle this, get it into exactly the right position and tighten the screw at the back. So that is how I attach feet. It's a little bit of a process, I'll be honest, and you do need to hang on to this. As I tighten this, so I'm tightening the screw here at the back, I am hanging on to this. I am not gonna let it go. I'm not gonna let it move. I am gripping that as I tighten up that back screw. Okay, so now moment of truth, needle up, needle down. Perfect. So needle in the center position, my locking collar is at the right height. And of course the final test before you just run off and go quilt a new quilt is to test this on a little scrap of fabric. Make sure that as you stitch, you don't suddenly start getting issues. Skip stitches would be the most common. If your foot is running a little on the high side, you'll probably see skip stitches. What happens is your needle's coming down, but your foot is too high and you've got too much bounce on the quilt, and it's not allowing your needle to connect with your bobbin and complete the circuit. So you'll see stitch and then it'll be stitching, but it won't be connecting with the bobbin. So it'll skip, 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 and then it'll stitch again. And we're not getting any of that. The foot is perfect. It's low enough. Now, because we mess with our needle too, you might not have put the needle in the right way. It might not be at the right height. I know for a fact that I actually didn't really pay much attention to that. So I might want to take a second and just think, oh, did I actually tighten that needle up all the way? Did I actually get it in there? Yeah, see, it wasn't actually at the right height. I need to get it all the way in as high as it can go. And I want to make sure that the right side, the eye of the needle, is facing forward. So that's very, very important. And you don't just get that finger tight. You use your straight screwdriver to get that super tight so it's not going anywhere. So that could have been a problem. And usually needle issues are going to show up as skip stitches also, or thread breaks. And this is the way I always test anytime that I've changed anything on my long arm. I always do just these simple U-shapes, straight line U, straight line U, and that allows me to see what's going on with my machine. Very, very simple stitching path. And as you can see, my stitches look great, foot's at the right height, needle in center position. We are ready to do some couching. And that will be a future video. So I hope that you'll come and check out more of my long arm quilting videos at leahday.com/frame.